Hey there, in the nonfiction reading department, I just finished this book, Overcomplicated, with this cleverly designed cover. This book is written by Samuel Arbesman, who I guess wrote another book called The Half-Life of Facts, which I have not read. I picked this up because it was reviewed in some science magazine or other. It's a pretty short book, easy to breeze through, about 170 pages and pretty widely spaced at that. The rest of the book has some notes in the index, but you can tell it kind of feels a little padded. And did it need to be this long, actually? I don't think so. It feels like it almost could have been an essay in a magazine, maybe about 20 pages, because a lot of the ideas, it could have easily been summarized and shortened. But it was good to read, but you can dive into it and get through it probably in under 2 hours easily. The subtitle is Technology at the Limits of Comprehension. A lot of what he talks about is how our society and our systems are really complicated, and they're getting more complicated, and they're not going to get simpler anytime soon. He uses a lot of the same examples, chiefly software. He talks about, like, the code of Microsoft Office being like 10 million lines or something. He talks a lot about the law, our legal system, and how it's really complicated, obviously. He talks about the English language itself, or languages in general, and how they are really hard to define. We have dictionaries and we have these resources that kind of attempt to map them, but they're always evolving. New words are coming into play and out of play all the time. So it's a very complicated system that nobody knows the entire English language or any language. It's just too fluid. And how we manage these systems, language, software, the law, are what he is really talking about. To give another example, he also talks about the tax code in the United States, which he claims has about 74,000 pages of information on how to do your taxes, which I can believe. It seems pretty complicated in a lot of different situations. That's why a lot of people do use software. Yeah, I don't think if we had to do our taxes on paper, any of us would be able to, even going to a tax professional. Apparently, if you take the same taxes to different people, you'll get all kinds of different results back. So a very complicated, messy system. How are we to deal with it? He gives you some insight into the issues and how things aren't going to get any simpler. He gives plenty of examples in how this is not something that just began with the computers and the internet age. This is something that's always been with us, that's been increasing and increasing, and it's going to just keep getting more and more complicated. It's incredibly insane how much how we interact. It's mind-blowing when you think about it, because nobody really knows what's going on. We have leaders, and we have leaders in all different types of capacities. We have government leaders, we have corporate leaders, we have thought leaders. I was thinking of that fake TED Talk or whatever, where that guy's called a thought leader. But by the time I finished this book, I didn't really feel, I felt a little, I guess, comforted in that we've managed to survive with this somehow, but I don't think there's much I took away from this book beyond, be cool with it, try to learn as much as you can, try to develop new literacies, and just do your best, be a generalist and a specialist. But I don't know if I really even needed this book. Tell me that. He did remind me at one point about how our world becomes increasingly abstracted and how we manage things without understanding the underlying processes. This is like the user interface of websites or of our desktop on our computers. We don't understand the code, most people. So it reminded me of that book, The User Illusion, which I read almost 15 years ago or something, that I liked a lot. It had that same principle about how we are becoming abstracted, and I think about that all the time. I was also thinking about one of my favorite books, Finnegan's Wake, which is this cyclic book that at the end of the book it loops around to the beginning, and this is based on this cycle that James Joyce was interested in, developed by what's his name, Giambattista Vico, I believe the name is, from his book, what's it called, A New Science or A New History, or I forget the exact, I'll link to it. Here, am I pointing to something? If I am, yes. But essentially, these patterns emerge in history. This was Vico's idea that when you go through this cycle, and the cycle kind of goes back to the beginning, but it's like at a higher level. So the same forms, the same archetypes will emerge in the same patterns, but how that happens is going to work in a different way. I'm reminded of the idea that we develop from matter to life. Living matter is like a more complex form of that. And then we have mind, which developed out of life. And we developed these communication systems that allow us to create this informational interaction sphere of imagination that, Chardin called the noosphere, however you pronounce that. And we're spending more and more time in this place, and it's really complicated. It runs on all these processes that are anchored in the physical world, but we don't think about that. We're in that, cyberspace, as William Gibson coined the term. We're in that space, and we're not thinking about the physical aspects. That's like another dimension. It is literally another dimension. He talks about the term kludge, which I like. It's a pretty good, if you don't know the term, I suggest you learn it. It's basically when systems become overly complicated, unnecessarily complicated. Instead of writing software from scratch, we put these little patches on them, and same with our law code. It's very, if we rewrote the law from the bottom up, or just from the start, from a clean slate, it could be so much simpler and elegant, but that's not going to happen. You just got to deal with it. These kludges are found all over the place, and it's just how the world is. He also has this idea that we have entered this, he calls it the Age of Entanglement, in which nobody is an expert on everything. We all have our own areas of expertise, but none of us can really see the big picture. We're just all parts that are interacting with other parts, other experts in their own fields, and we're all living in these funnel worlds, and it's kind of a nice metaphor. I can see that a lot, the Age of Entanglement. So I enjoyed this book, even if I sound like I didn't. It was because it was so lightweight and easy to read. He has a very clean, fast, smooth writing style. I guess he's writing it, I'm reading it. That style, whatever that is. It's easy to comprehend and breeze through. And like I said, if this does seem like your cup of tea, it's like maybe if you're interested in software development or how that process is going to continue into the future, this might interest you. Not super insightful, but when I did find insight, I enjoyed it a lot. So take that as you like it.